He was a good boy all the way around, respectable, loved his family. His heart just was bigger than life. Every morning he'd get up and go do his runs. He run through all the neighborhood, same run every day. He had dreams, that's why he ran so much and stayed in shape. Because he told me ain't nothing he couldn't do. And I told him, I said, man, that's awesome. When he get through with his runs, he'll call me. He called me every day. Words he always said, I love you, Pop, and I'll holler at you later.
I was standing by the window on one cold, cloudy day when I saw the hearse come rolling for to carry my mother. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
I remember the first time I ever flew on an airplane. As we flew across the country, I remember looking out the window the whole time, my nose just pressed against the glass, sort of surveying the land below me. I remember having this strange sense of duty to dedicate myself in some way to helping.
Opioid addiction reaching epidemic levels.
Fast-moving fires in parts of California.
Breaking news, at least 9 people killed overnight.
As I grew older, I ended up raising a family and becoming a lawyer and ultimately becoming CEO of Chipotle Mexican Grill.
And it's a vision to change food culture.
One of the things I liked best was interacting with thousands and thousands of people over the years and really getting to know them. Loads of different people from very different walks of life. The more I got to know, the more convinced I was that, man, we're all very much the same in so many ways. And you wouldn't know that from what we see on TV or hear on the radio. All that stuff suggests that we're very divided, that we're not united at all, that we're all about disagreement, that we're all about arguing, that we're all about fighting. But I think the truth is just the opposite. There's a great deal more that unites us. What I want to do with this docuseries is to tell the stories of people who might never be seen or heard, and to help bring the wisdom from many people from many different walks of life so that everyone has access to it. In some ways, I'm still just that small boy with my nose pressed against the glass, looking down at this beautiful place we all live, and wanting to do some good. Wanting to demonstrate that there's a lot more that unites us than divides us. Brunswick, Georgia is a town of 50,000 people, nestled between grassy marshes that gradually recede into the Atlantic Ocean. The heat and humidity of late summer surround me, but I find some relief from gentle breezes, which meander through the shade of ancient oak trees draped with Spanish moss. I'm drawn here by the tragic death of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed while jogging in a neighborhood called Satilla Shores. I've heard that this tragedy arose from racism and hatred, and I'm a bit nervous about what I might find in this place. All of us would like to believe that racism and bigotry are dying out in this country, fading embers of dysfunctional and ill-conceived mental states once held by ignorant ancestors. But recent events pull images from our past into focus and provide unwelcome proof that such ways of thinking live on. I've never been the target of racism and came to Brunswick knowing that I will never fully understand the pain and injustice that it's caused millions of people in our world. But my deep curiosity drives me to do all I can to learn more. I'll be meeting with Ahmaud's grieving family, but will I also encounter the dark forces of racism and hatred which are said to have caused his death? I'm just so sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I'm really sorry what happened. I got 3 kids of my own, and I don't pretend I can imagine what it's like, but I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Did he run every day?
Every day.
How far? Do you know how far he ran?
He ran about 6 to sometimes 10 miles.
Is that right?
Every day. I called myself running with him one time, and I told him I had to get in my truck and follow him because he ran it so much. I told him I got too old for all that running now.
You couldn't keep up anymore.
I couldn't keep up with him. He just was the kind of young man just wanted to do everything. You know, everything that did with sports, he wanted to do it.
You were involved in martial arts?
Yes.
You trained people?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great.
We went to championship 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And that's where he got it from, and a lot of stuff I showed him, and he just had dreams with it. You know, he got killed right across the street from where his mama stayed, because his mama got a house out there, about $100,000 house on the other side. It's just right across the street. So, you know, he run all in the neighborhood where his mama stayed, so he ran across that street and ran in that neighborhood too. So I guess them guys, what I'm hearing, they already said some racist stuff to him while he was running through there.
Had he told you that he had heard people say racist things to him before while he was running?
Oh, you know, my boy tried to keep stuff from me, because he always told me he don't want to see me get in no trouble. But he figured he could have handled it himself. I was told he ran through there and they had done said racist stuff to him while he ran through him. You know, the guy was racist over there and they didn't want blacks in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that racist stuff, but I'm gonna tell you something. I dealt with it myself and I dealt with it. I'm not scared of you with that racist stuff, I'm telling you. All I want to do is just stay away from my family with it. You racist, man, just stay away from my family with it.
Do you think it's getting better than it was when you were a young man?
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Worse. It's worse. It is worse. I'm telling you, and it ain't right. That's my brother there. It ain't right. I'm telling you.
Hi there. Hi, I'm Monty.
That's the detective there. He a detective.
Nice to meet you. I'm sorry.
I say my brother detective.
You're a detective?
Yes, he is, because he investigates stuff and let me know.
How did you find out about this? You found out before Marcus, didn't you?
I found out. I was the one that called him. He got the first call from me. I was at work, and about 3 or 4 people called me. I said, no, it ain't true.
What'd they tell you?
They told me, man, I heard Ahmaud got killed in a burglary. And
a burglary?
Yes. And I said, no. I said, he don't do that. So my sister called me. She said, yeah, he got killed in a burglary. The first place I go was to my sister's house. So automatic, when you see a bunch of people standing around, crowding around, all of them was in her front yard. But I'm still not believing it. I'm trying to figure out how to call my brother, because I ain't gonna call him if it's not true. So we rolled around his neighborhood. I said, man, I don't see no red tapes. I don't see no tapes around. So they automatically let me know it wasn't over here. I left from there, I said, man, well, let's go over to this neighborhood over here. So we went to Satilla Shore, and I seen the blood in the middle of the road. Because they tried to wash the blood up. I seen where they tried to wash it up and everything in the middle of the road. And it's just, I said, man, let's go. We got in my car, we came back to my sister. I said, it's true. So this is the part that was hard, calling him and telling him that his son just got killed. That was the hardest thing I had to do. And I said, bro, I want you to brace yourself, be strong. I said, man, your son just got killed, bro. I said, man, do we need to come down there and help you come back? And he said, man, I'm coming back.
This is all before the video came out, right?
Yeah, this was all before the video.
How did you feel when you saw the video? How'd you feel?
Man, it took me a while to watch that video.
I ain't watched it yet. My
Yeah,
daughter.
it took me a minute to watch the
pieces of it,
video.
but I couldn't look at all of it because I know it was devastating myself.
And after I seen the video, it really just made me just... I got on my knees and I prayed. I said, God, please, open up everybody's eyes and let them see what's going on.
America was founded upon violence. We're where we are now because of the Civil War, whether we want to accept it or not. We never had no business fighting, but we did. Brothers, daddies, uncles, cousins killing each other, across Flanders fields, That's how America was established when you start to think about it.
You met Dr. Martin Luther King?
Oh, yes. I was trained by him. When the sit-ins jumped off back in around '59, Dr. King went around to the colleges training college kids how to sit in a nonviolent way. And so we were trained at Tennessee State how to go in a 5 and 10 cent store, sit on the counter, and quite naturally you're gonna be hit. Knocked off the stool and how to protect yourself. So this is the type of training he put us through.
How to react when you were pushed off a stool?
There you go, and to be non-violent.
Did that kind of thing happen? People shoved off their stools?
Oh, yes. I was knocked off. I had my glasses split. One eye went this way and one eye went this way. My roommate, who was sitting on the stool next to me, got his ribs fractured. But these are the things we were trained how to protect yourselves. You just have to ball up in a knot. He came to Tennessee State one day, and we had about pretty close to 1,200 students in the gymnasium for this training. And after he went through the things, what we needed to do, and he asked this question. Now, those of you who don't think you can go through this in a nonviolent way, get up and leave. And half of the gym got up and walked out.
How has racism affected you personally in your life?
Well, it had given me a very broad perspective of society. I didn't have the experience of interacting with white students until I went to grad school at Georgia Southern. So here I am, almost about 26 years old, been teaching here about 2 or 3 years before I had the opportunity to sit next to a white student.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so your whole life was quite segregated before that time.
There you go, right. I know what it means to go to a colored and a white water fountain, bathroom, waiting room. I've had the experience that when I'm taking my family from here to Pensacola, you have to go to the bushes somewhere if you got to pass water or something. I know how to get off the street when a white couple is coming down the sidewalk. This is the exposure I had growing up back in the 40s and 50s. We had one black doctor, Dr. David Griffin. The doctors at the hospital had a lounge where white doctors can go and have coffee and have a break. He had to go in the locker room where the janitors put their mop buckets and everything. We had separate black and white waiting rooms. In the hospital, we were treated like second-class citizens. It makes you feel inferior, but at the same time, you have to respect the fact that it was the law of the land. And our parent taught us that you have to respect that.
Did they express resentment about that?
No, they didn't.
Did they feel resentment about it as far as you could tell?
No, not really.
Just the way it was?
That's the way it was.
And when you learned it, did you accept it as just the way it was?
No, I didn't accept it. That's why I got involved once I got in college.
Yeah, that's why you got involved in the protests.
That's right.
We are determined that this city will not celebrate its quadricentennial as a segregated city. We plan to use everything within our power and all of the nonviolent weapons at our disposal to dramatize this blatant injustice.
Was it hard to remain nonviolent during some of these indignities that you were made to suffer?
All of them.
When you look back at Martin Luther King, though, you believe he was a very powerful force of positive change, right?
I agree with you. And I think what he did during his time was necessary. I really do. But Lord, when you go back and look at how we were treated, and y'all don't have no idea what it is to have the hell beat out of you by somebody and ain't nothing gonna be done about it.
Awful.
The judge leaves his bench down to the courthouse and that night go put his white robe on and have the Klan rally. See, this is what we lived through, and we know this. The judge.
Really?
Yeah, who gonna sentence, take your life from you? When he leaves the bench down there, he gonna go at night and put his white robe on.
That's frightening.
You better believe it's frightening.
Hate is one of those emotions that makes it easier to do things that you normally wouldn't do. I've always been a person that was extremely in touch with what was going on, and especially as a kid, like 17, like looking at stories like Trayvon Martin was the story that really took me, you know, especially knowing that this guy got away with killing this man unjustly. And when I saw the story of Ahmaud, that's the story that rung out to me. It's like a repeated, like, no, like,
here we go again.
That was the exact emotion that I felt, my exact thought, like, here we go again, and not in this city, like, this cannot be real.
How long have you lived in Brunswick?
Been living here since I was 5 years old, I guess.
Oh, okay.
All my life.
So pretty much your whole life?
Yeah. I live in a house not 200 yards from where I grew up my whole life. So, you know, I walked to school. This was a little two-lane road.
Oh, so it's very local to where you grew up.
Oh, yeah, very.
What makes it special to you?
I think the people. The people around here have always been great. We look out for each other. I coached Little League football and baseball for 13 years around here. And then my wife and I, after my oldest son graduated high school, he played ball all the way through school, we formed a semi-pro football team. And a lot of the men, after they graduated high school, that played on my semi-pro team, I had coached in Little League growing up, and I had coached them in middle school. So we've kind of walked through life with them. These men, you know, they're in their 30s now, and they got kids, and they still come to the house. We're still connected as a family.
And you just introduced me to your best friend, Tony.
Yeah.
And he's been your friend since you were, what, you said 7, 8 years old?
Yeah, fourth grade. Probably.
Fourth grade?
Yeah.
How did race play into your upbringing? Was it something you guys talked about, thought about, anything?
My dad was a railroad man. So I was around the railroad men. They were just men. They were black men, white men. They were just hard, strong men. They were all good men. I remember us, Daddy having barbecues and parties at our house, and they were always there. I mean, they were just black and white.
Part of the family.
Yeah, it was just all part of it. I think we're misusing the word racism. I think there's very few racists in the world. I mean, racism would imply that you believe you're superior because of the pigment of your skin, that you're superior to that person. I think almost everybody has some bigotry. So I think there's a difference
Tell me
between
what
racism
bigotry
and
means.
bigotry. Bigotry is you may have something against that person because of.
Okay, as opposed to racism.
Racism is you just believe you're superior to them. And
Okay.
I believe very few people believe like that.
I think the racism that goes on in our world today is learned and taught, and it's taught by whoever is raising the person. And there's racism in all races. You know, in certain parts of our country, there are people that they grew up hating anybody other than white people. And, you know, that rears its ugly head every now and then.
It's more easy to kill a person if you hate them.
Yeah.
So a
yeah.
lot of times hate can act as courage. You know, generally, if you grow up thinking a certain way and you grow up thinking like, these people are evil, the mind is a very powerful thing. And if you grow up and if you start, you know, when you're young, it's going to be very hard to break that way of thinking.
The other day, we went out and we met with a number of people who love the Confederate flag. A lot of them had Confederate flag tattoos on them. And I was interested because I've never met such a group of people. And I was interested to find out what they were about. Now, you're aware that there is a stereotype that people who carry the Confederate flag are racist. Forget what it means, like the actual stars and stripes, but what does it mean to you? Let me start with you. What does it mean to you?
That's my heritage.
Okay, what is that heritage? Why is that heritage worth it? What's
Because that was
special?
my family, my kin, my family, my blood fought in that war, and I represent them.
Okay, other than the fact that it was your family, do you have some particular, is there something that you can describe about that Southern heritage that's special?
We all stick together. The way we were raised. Look, right here.
Okay, but the KKK sticks together too. So sticking together is not good enough. Okay, I know, but
I'll tell you what, you look
but it's
at
not enough to stick
anything-
together. It's right. I mean, sticking together if you're a bunch of bad people maybe isn't good. Okay, yes, it's your family. They fought for it, all that. But what if your family, and just hypothetically, and I mean no offense, but what if your family weren't very nice? Well, then all of a sudden that heritage becomes not very special, right?
No, you have to.
It's still a special heritage.
It's the way you're raised, exactly.
I grew up with a little racism in my family, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that.
Who else here grew up with some racism?
I did.
You did.
I did.
So there is some history in your parents and grandparents. There was some racism there, and then you got rid of it.
I don't care what color your skin is.
Do you have kids?
I've got, my stepson is out there, and I got another stepson, and I got a daughter. I got 3 kids.
If your daughter married a black guy, is it okay with you?
I don't care. If they love each other, and that's what makes them happy, knock yourself out.
I served in the United States Army. Everybody to me is green. That's my brother. That's my brother. Everybody out here is my brother. I don't care who shows up in the next 10 minutes, the next 10 days. It's not about slavery. It's not about history. All it's about is lineage. That flag right there, that's not about racism. That's a bunch of ignorant people that used it as a sign of ignorance.
You mean the way the flag got a racist reputation
was because of the Ku Klux Klan. And I will admit it 100%. Look.
And give me your opinion about the KKK.
It's pretty simple. I've said it the whole time. They're a bunch of ignorant, weird people. They feel like somehow they're superior to other people. That does not mean that all white people that love that flag feel that way. There's a lot of people that don't like other people just because of word of mouth. Okay, the reason why they don't like that flag is because of word of mouth. It's not because of the actual history behind the flag.
So you believe if everyone understood the history of the flag, and everyone came down and understood not just how you think, but how most people in the South think, that they would no longer be offended by the flag?
Yes, I feel that way. I have a bunch of friends that come down here and hang out with us that are African American, and they know that we don't feel no type of way towards them because of their skin color. Okay, we have mixed relationships that's all around us. We're not out here lynching people and all that used to happen. So why are we still living in the past?
Are you ashamed that it used to happen?
Yes, I am, 100%, because people was ignorant. I feel like knowledge is a very valuable tool.
Yeah.
My mama taught me to feel that way.
Yeah.
She said, listen, son, just because people tell you this or tell you that, you need to take your own comprehension of the situation. You know, someone might tell me that you're a piece of crap, but until I get to know you, I'm gonna take you as what you show me.
I pried and probed and pried and probed. They believe there was racism, they've seen racism, their parents are racist, but they're no longer racist. Some people do love the Confederate flag and see the Confederate flag or other symbols of the Civil War era as being something to be proud of. Is there any room for that in your mind?
No.
Okay.
That's very inconsistent, and it makes no sense to me because I know the purpose of the Confederate flag. I know what it was used for.
And describe that to me.
Well, it was used for, it was a symbol to hate blacks. It was a symbol to perpetuate slavery. It was a symbol used to keep the races divided.
I asked him that, and I said, well, hasn't that been used as a symbol of hatred against black people and oppression and bigotry and all that? And they said, yes, it has been used for that, and it's very unfortunate it was used for that. And then they said, in groups like the KKK or these neo-Nazi types, they said these guys are horrible, they're despicable, and they're very frustrated that those people basically put a stain on their flag and caused their flag to be seen for something that it's not meant to be seen for. But you don't buy any of it.
No, I don't buy any of that because I know better. I've read too much history. I saw most of it in action growing up. You see what I'm talking about? So you know.
When you say you've seen most of it in action, you mean you've seen too many times where that flag was associated with bigotry, racism, and hate.
There you go. And murder.
Having the information that, hey, this group of people wanted to keep, you know, your group of people enslaved. Like there's no way I could ever, you know.
You can't unlearn that.
Yes,
that's one of those habits that's hard to unlearn.
Yeah,
too hard to unlearn.
And because of that, I could never accept that flag.
Yeah.
I could never accept that flag. I can never accept that flag means anything other than racism and hatred.
Many people view symbols like the Confederate flag not as symbols of hate, but representations of like a heritage, Southern heritage. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with both of them. I believe it's a flag, it's a symbol. It's got a place in history, can't deny it. The people that are really passionate about it being their heritage, they should have fought this strongly for that symbol when the first hate group used it. And if you didn't fight for it then you lost the moral high ground, you really got nothing to say now. If that thing meant that much to you as your heritage, and it's part of my heritage too, but if it meant that much to you, the first time a hate group marched out in the street waving it, you should have fought them to stop using it.
Don't use our flag for that
Don't use our flag for that. It ain't what it's intended for.
People have a tarnished view of it, right? Mm-hmm. They have a view of it as being a symbol of hatred, a symbol of racism.
Right.
Do you think for that reason it makes sense to eliminate it?
Nope. It's history, man. History's ugly. History is ugly. Nobody's saying it's right, but it's history. You shouldn't do. They won't stop there. It will not stop there. History's ugly, man. History is ugly.
No matter what color you are.
Yeah, I mean, all of history. World history. It's ugly.
What is so valuable about history of that kind?
If we don't learn from it, we repeat it.
Would you say you've grown up in the midst of what you would call a lot of racism?
A lot of racism? Not really, no, not directly. Indirectly, growing up, I've seen like circumstances where, you know, it wasn't like blunt out, but when you look back on it and you think about the root cause and what may have affected it, like it's in the justice system.
What we have here, we have a society in which racism is ingrained. My wife makes a mean pound cake. I mean, people
Come from far and wide.
I'm telling you, they ask for her pound cake. Of course, when you make the pound cake, you got sugar, you got vanilla, you got flour, you got all these other ingredients go into it. You put them all together, you mix them all together, you put them into the oven, and you use heat to bake it. And so everything is baked together, so when you come out, you have one cake.
Yeah.
You can't then say, okay, I'm gonna pull the sugar out of it, I'm gonna pull the vanilla out of it, I'm gonna pull the flour out of it, because it's all baked in. And that's how institutional racism is. It's baked into America.
It's in the fabric of America. This country was not built for everybody. It was built for, it was built for white people.
In the South, there's just black and white. And so the winning team seems to be the white team. They get the desk jobs, they get the office jobs. Instead of digging the ditch, they supervise the people who dig the ditches. Instead of being the garbage man actually picking up the garbage can, they're driving it, right?
Years ago, a black man didn't have any rights in this country, you know? So when we talk about white privilege, you know, you can't do anything but look back on the history and where we came from.
The people who raised us, they did not have a chance to grow out of what was taught to them. All of the heroes in my history book were white. If you want to be a hero, you have to be white. You have to be surrounded by white people. If you want to be successful, you have to look a certain way. And the closer that you are to looking white, sounding white, acting white, that's success. You have to dress the part. If you say you have money, you better dress like you have money. I think that there is a sense of shame or inferiority because it's pressed in our everyday lives. It's very confusing. Because in one breath, I think of myself as this beautiful, wonderful creature, and I read these books that tell me that I can think and be whatever I want to be. And then I come out into the world where it does not feel like that.
Is racism worse now than ever?
I don't know that I could say that. I mean, it's different. It's different. I mean,
do you think it's as prevalent now as it was, though? Or is it getting softer? Is it lessening over time? Do you think?
I think it's just as prevalent. I mean, it's just that there are some people that just don't want to be seen as racist. I think that's where we get these new these new words, you know, to try to soften up the term racism or racist. We have these other terms, you know.
What does systemic racism mean to you? You heard that term, obviously.
I know people are high on. It's kind of like white privilege. You know, I hear that thrown around.
Yeah, what's
a
that?
lot.
That's actually my next question.
Roll up to that. Get down to that. That's a word that'll set people off.
What does white privilege mean to you?
That'll get people off the sideline right there.
What do you mean?
People that just want to be left alone. People like me that I've just worked hard all my life, and when people start throwing around white privilege, it's like.
It wakes you up.
Yeah, I mean,
not in a good way.
Now all of a sudden you've got my attention because you're implying I've got something you didn't because of the color of my skin, and I don't know where that happened. Again, if someone can point it out to me, please do.
You can do anything you want to. For all your life, you've been able to go anywhere you want to. You can say.
But that's true with young people now, isn't it?
No. We talking about just white privilege. I'm letting you know what that means.
Yeah.
You've had that privilege. I haven't had it.
I come from a family of sharecroppers, man. I mean, if I had ancestors that fought in the war, they didn't own slaves, they didn't even own land. I mean, these were just poor people. My privilege came from my granddaddy. My granddaddy was a sharecropper, born in a sharecropper shack in Glenville, Georgia, like all his relatives before him. As he started having a family, he realized that wasn't going to be good enough. He worked very, very hard and got him a job with the railroad, which gave his son, my dad, a little bit of a head start than he had. So my dad came out of high school, went to work for the railroad. He automatically started with a pretty good job because of what his daddy did. Well, My dad working for the railroad gave me opportunities, and when I came out, I was a little bit further ahead than all of them. My privilege came from my granddaddy making the decision not to live like that anymore.
You all are still superior in a lot of instances. You own all the wealth in the country. You own most of the businesses, the banks, everything. That's privilege. See? So let's face it, and it's no fault of yours. And we just have to face the reality. It's kind of
Is that going to go away?
Huh?
Is white privilege going to go away?
I don't think so.
In today's society, if you're not offended, it's like you don't have a heart. You're not very feeling if this doesn't offend you. It was hard to offend us. I mean, we grew up poor. We grew up, you know, just working class people like everybody else. But you couldn't say anything to offend us, you know. It's, okay, we just move on. Try playing basketball on some of these basketball courts around here and see the things that are slung at you. If you're easily offended.
Right, right. No matter what your color.
Yeah, no matter what your color. It was, woo. Good stuff, though. Good, you know. Good
Trash talking?
Oh, yeah. But now, if they're offended by it, it ain't okay. It's not okay for you to just recognize that they're offended. You have to be offended, too. I got to be offended with you now.
Why is that so? That's more true now than it was 20 years, 30 years ago?
I think the younger generation are taught to be offended. Their education is different than ours. You can't just give someone their opinion. You have to agree with their opinion, or you're wrong. I don't believe racism is the root cause of all the uprising that's going on. But the media has come into your living room day after day after day telling you it is. And I think they're trying to divide us.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have us think that our neighbor is something different than what we know them to be. I mean, they would have our neighbor believe I'm something. I mean, I'm an old white dude. I'm what's wrong with a whole of the world right now if you turn on the media.
Yeah.
I am the cause of all the troubles in the world. And if they bang that drum long enough, you know, they won't, well, all of a sudden your neighbor starts looking at you different, like, well, maybe he is.
There's a reason why Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, because he was uniting people. And when you start uniting people and when you start bringing people together under one vision and under one goal, you become powerful. So when you think about racism, you think about it, a lot of it is just people trying to stay on top and trying to keep theirs.
You know, the Romans, they had a saying back in the day of bread and circus, you know.
A what?
Bread and circus.
Mm-hmm.
You keep them fed, you keep them entertained, they won't pay no attention to what we're doing in the Senate. And the Romans believed that. I mean,
Yeah.
America's not much different. There's always been power and division. If they get us bickering amongst ourselves over whatever,
yeah,
we're a weaker population.
The blame game has to stop. We have to figure out why, and fix it.
Yeah. Is it going to get better?
It has to. We cannot continue to go the way we are.
Yeah.
It has to get better for us to survive as a nation. Law enforcement has become numb to terrible crime. It looks to me like something has happened in our culture today where the police are, I don't want to say they're scared, but their first reaction is probably, you know, there's a continuum. It's a law enforcement term, you know, it's an escalation and a de-escalation of a situation, whatever it is. And I think it goes from 0 to 100 where it should be way too fast, and it should slow down.
You've had a whole career in law enforcement. You know, most of your life you've been in law enforcement, right? How much of a role did racism or anything race-related play in those 40 years?
It didn't with me. I was a uniform patrol officer when our two first African-American police officers came on duty. And it was just one of those things where it never really happened.
Within the police force?
Within the police force.
But how about in terms of what you dealt with in your work as a
well,
law
and
officer?
there were some communities that every now and then we would have an issue in.
Yeah.
And we would try to mediate it to the best of our ability without hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Now, people would have to go to jail, absolutely.
Yeah.
If they're doing things wrong. But as far as all the shootouts and all that kind of stuff, thank God I never had to experience any of that.
None?
None, no, never.
How does it make you feel, being someone who's had your whole career in law enforcement, to hear about the defund the police stuff and all that?
And what is that going to solve? That's not going to solve a thing. The police need more funding for more training so they're better equipped. I've seen police officers on the Hispanic, the white, the black, and everything else, and there's just a lot of things that happen in the heat of the moment where you just can't justify. And if you're a head of a law enforcement agency, you have to teach and teach and teach and preach and teach and preach to be sure that they understand that and give them the tools that they can do their job without having to use deadly force. There's a percentage out there that are in it for the wrong reason. And those are the ones that need to be weeded out.
Do you think racism is worse now than it was?
No, I'd be the last one to say that because of what I've been through.
Yeah, it's much better now.
Oh, what you talking about? Yes. I can go sit down on a lunch counter. I can go to a restroom without looking up at a sign saying colored only. So I'd be an idiot to say that it's not better, you see. But at the same time, it needs to be much better.
And what tells you that?
Well, for what's going on right now.
Something like the Ahmaud Arbery killing.
Oh, yeah.
How did you feel when you learned of that killing?
Heartbreaking. Very heartbreaking. With a law enforcement background, you look at something like that and you just say, how in the name of God can something like that happen in our world today? It's just really hard to understand and to fathom something like that. And I know both of those guys involved. I know the two, the McMichaels.
You know both those guys?
And I knew, actually, the father was a detective for me when I was over the detective division with the county police department.
He worked for you?
Yes, he did.
For years and years?
Probably 5 years, maybe, 6 years, and then he transferred over to the DA's office.
What kind of fellow did you know him to be?
I knew nothing bad about him. We depended on him a lot. He was a great investigator. He did what we asked and had very, very few issues or very, very few problems with him.
So as far as you knew, he was a good guy?
I would have never expected it.
And did you ever know him or his son to be racist?
No, not at all.
No signs of that whatsoever? Wow. How did you feel when you saw the video?
I still have problems sleeping sometimes. He's running. In my dreams, sometimes he's running. And I see him running. I see the white guys. I see the gun. I see him get shot. But every time he gets shot, it's a different black male's face that I know.
There's 3 responses that a human being, and they teach you this in basic training. There's 3 responses you have when someone pulls a gun on you. There's fight, flight, and flee. Okay, he fled first. He run from them for over a mile. Okay, they videotaped the whole thing. Then, after he got cornered up, he defended himself. So let me tell you something. Them boys was 100% wrong for what they did. Do I feel like they should get persecuted? 100%. I feel like they should get the book thrown at them, and at any point they feel like giving them any kind of leniency, shame on them. Because that man run for his life. There's a video of him dropping a hammer. You know what? If someone's got a gun in a truck chasing me, they lucky if I just got a hammer.
Did you get mad when you heard about the Ahmaud Arbery killing?
I don't know if mad would adequately describe it. Mad would be a very light, insufficient term. I don't know if that even gets it. I mean, I don't know a word higher than that. Why would you track down somebody and kill them? Basically, because, I mean, you heard the police, the 911 call. Oh, it's a black guy running down the street. So? I mean, it's different. Black guy run down the street and just kill somebody. That's one thing. But a black guy running down the street, I think he burglarized somebody, huh? You think? And so you gonna take the law in your own hands? I just can't imagine how he was viewing this. I mean, he was just out exercising. I mean, he's somebody's child.
You took my baby life. You killed him for nothing when he was a good boy.
When I seen the video, it automatically made me want to go to them. But I got on my knees and prayed. I said, God, just bless me to make the right decision.
All y'all had to take a gun to a 25-year-old boy? Come on. Man, that showed me, man, you were straight cowards to take a gun to my 25-year-old unarmed baby. You didn't even think about his mama, you didn't think about his daddy, you didn't think about his sister, you didn't think about his brother, you didn't think about his uncles, his cousins, no? It made me feel so bad because I wasn't there to help my son. I wasn't there to help him.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
Ain't no man above the law, it's one law. When they get that right, this world gonna be a better place, I'm telling you, man.
I just want justice.
What does that mean?
They need to be punished.
I don't care what color you is, you're not above the law. You gotta be careful what you do wrong, just like everybody else pay. People fight for that Black Lives Matter thing. But you know what? All life matter. But you got to look at it. White people ain't getting shot and killed like black people is, though.
Do you think these guys are gonna get justice?
Yeah, they better. Because there's gonna be some problems, I'm telling you. Is the whole world mad at it, ain't just me.
This thing got real intense. You see, we had 300 and 400 folk coming far from Atlanta, Carolina to these demonstrations.
And what did you do about it?
I was just there with them, supporting them.
If you had decided that you wanted it to go violent, you probably could have made it do so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you got a lot of people who would listen to you and look to you as a leader.
Thank you. They do.
Yeah. So if you had decided that, you know what, our community's full of way too much of this racism, and we're gonna put a stop to it for once and for all, you might have led a violent protest.
That's right. I met with some of the groups, and we organized, and we laid out the plan of action. You know.
But you decided to make it a non-violent plan of action.
I have been interviewed by 7 major newspapers across the country, all the way from Los Angeles, New York, Detroit, Jacksonville paper. I think that was an isolated incident. I've been here ever since '61, and now we have excellent race relations. See, I've been here too long for something like this just to jump out at us and disrupt our peace and tranquility. We desegregated our whole community and nearby communities without bloodshed.
And you hated to see it go backwards even a little bit.
There you go.
So you wanted to make sure it didn't go backwards and that there weren't riots.
There you go. Because I knew what we had accomplished and how far we have come in this community. We communicate. We talk.
Yeah.
You see.
We've got a lot of good leaders here. African American, white, Hispanic, take your pick. And so we're all friendly, we all understand each other. And I think the communication part of it is a big part of keeping the calm and keeping the peace. But we understand that the last thing we need is riots and burning and looting. And we're very fortunate to have those leaders that can talk to all sides of any issue.
We know each other. We care about each other.
Do you think more so than other communities?
I don't know about other communities. I can only give my perspective.
For some reason, there weren't riots here.
Well, they're not, because in a town like this, it's really hard to, you know, we're gonna go burn down this grocery store. Well, hold on, my grandmama shops at that grocery store. Or, you know, John that I play softball with works there, or, you know, we're somehow connected. There's more that connects us than separates us.
Yeah.
If more of us came together, like what we're doing right now, and open up to one another, we'll realize that we have more similarities than we do differences.
In your mind, what is the root cause of the division that we're experiencing in our country today?
Sin.
Sin?
Sin. It began when people began to devalue other people. Or to a great extent, they didn't even think of other people as being human in the first place. We all are human beings. We all want the same thing. We want food if we're hungry. We want water if we're thirsty. We want to be heat if we're too cold, air conditioning if we're too hot, someone to love us and someone to love. We want all the same basic things.
It's a condition of the heart. People gotta love each other, man. Love everybody. If you see somebody in need, help them. It don't matter if they're purple. Help them.
What else would you like to see happen as a result of Ahmaud's tragedy?
Let's love and embrace each other.
Love and embrace each other?
That's right. When is this gonna change?
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Yeah. We shall overcome someday.
After many days in Brunswick, I've again witnessed how people can overcome unimaginable pain and hardship, yet continue to hold on to their dream of building a better world. And building that better world starts by opening our hearts and getting to know each other. Since we are all connected, I know that what plagues one of us plagues all of us, and each of us is responsible to do our part to contribute to the eradication of racism in all its forms. I believe more than ever that the antidote to racism and hatred is communication and understanding. The community of Brunswick, Georgia knows this and came together in the midst of this tragedy to say, no, we are not going to descend into violence and division. We are not going to let this tragedy destroy what we've accomplished. The killing of Ahmaud Arbery caused so much pain to a family, a community, and a nation. After Ahmaud's death, his uncle Gary prayed, God, please, open everybody's eyes. None of us can bring Ahmaud back, but each of us, all of us, do have the power to commit to become part of the solution of eradicating the kind of ignorance, hatred, and cowardice that were underlying causes of this and too many other tragedies that happen in our world. The solution to these problems isn't simple, but it is not impossible.
We are not afraid today, Lord, today. Oh.
Roderick and Jeffrey explained how the media and politicians often fear the power that arises when people unite and share a common vision, and that they profit from people remaining divided. Jeffrey explained that there is more that unites us than separates us, and implored us to love each other, to take care of each other, no matter what color we are. Carl insists that we need to stop the blame game, communicate with each other, and fix our problems to survive as a nation. Robbie encouraged us to stop seeing the color of someone's skin and start treating each other as brothers and sisters. Helen helps us to see the privileges that many of us take for granted, which enhances our ability to feel empathy for others. Mr. Yancey described how aspects of racism are baked into our society and institutions. The person who has perhaps seen the most, Robert Griffin, reminds us how far we've come during his lifetime, how we've overcome many of the indignities of unequal legal protections and segregation. Yet he also reminds us that while things have gotten better, they need to get much better. Indeed, the circumstances surrounding the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, that he was chased down in broad daylight, shot in the middle of the street, and that it took 72 days to arrest his killers, is evidence that there remains an ingrained inequality in our justice system that must be eradicated. All of us need to learn from this tragedy and commit to be part of the solution so that Marcus and Gary's greatest wish can come true. That Ahmaud's legacy can become one of unity, hope, and love.
We shall overcome someday.
I leave this first season of this docuseries filled with immense gratitude to all the brilliant and beautiful people who've shared their hearts and minds with me during this journey. At the outset of this docuseries, I was nervous that I might have an overly optimistic view that our nation could be a place of goodness, hope, and unity. But after traveling thousands of miles and getting to know hundreds of new friends, I am more optimistic now than ever before. What our politicians and media titans portray as a broken nation is really the furthest thing from it. The diversity of thoughts, ideas, wisdom, and brilliance that I witnessed is nothing short of inspiring. I am recommitted more than ever to use my remaining days in this life working to understand others and to find ways to further unite mankind by promoting better communication and the knowledge that the most satisfying life is one where we give our love, care, and attention to improving the lives of those around us. Each and every one of us is connected. We all share the same desire to be seen, understood, valued, and loved.
Mm-hmm.